reached a preliminary conclusion. Just a few weeks into the occupation, the general sent this message up the British chain of command. We may have been seduced into something we might be inclined to regret. Is strategic failure a possibility? The answer has to be yes. In the concluding part of No Plan, No Peace, as basic services collapse, the coalition tries to put together a plan to rebuild them.
Well, I say that's not a plan, that's a statement of optimism. How do you propose to get from where you are to that position? Oh, we don't know.
But there never was a plan to deal with the armed uprising against the coalition after the invasion.
We're here for your fucking freedom! So back up right now!
Then the blame game begins between the British and the Americans.
Thank you very much for freedom.
Over 4 years ago, America and Britain invaded Iraq.
Saddam, thank you.
Just as we had a strategy for war, so we have a strategy for peace.
But there wasn't a strategy for peace.
In fairness to the military, it is true that their mission definition did not include rebuilding the country.
We're here for your fucking freedom! So back up right now!
And no understanding of the forces that freedom would unleash. Or how quickly Iraqis would see liberation as occupation.
We counted at least 6 separate explosions.
In retrospect, it is clear to me the mission was impossible.
What's been going on here?
The fucking war's going on.
Looting and anarchy followed almost the instant Saddam fell. It caught the Americans off guard. They hadn't planned for this.
Where's the American? This is how Iraq wants to be. Everybody's stealing and looting from everybody. We want secure, we want peace for our country.
Nearly 5 weeks after the fall of Saddam, Tony Blair's special envoy sent this message back to London. The problems are worst in the capital, and it's the one place we can't afford to get it wrong. The clock is ticking. The coalition are gradually losing public support. No progress is possible until security improves. But Donald Rumsfeld, the hawkish US Defense Secretary, had insisted on a small invasion force to get in and out of Iraq as fast as possible. A light footprint, the Americans called it. A retired general was put in charge of running Iraq.
Hello, I'm Jay Garner. I'm here to help you rebuild your country. I'll be here for a short time, just to help get things going.
In fact, Jay Garner had been there just 4 days when Donald Rumsfeld decided to send a new man with a new strategy.
He said, hey, I really like the way things are going, you know, everything looks good. By the way, Jay, I want you to know that today the president has selected former Ambassador Jerry Bremer to be his presidential envoy.
I mean, did you take that as basically being fired by Rumsfeld?
No, I took it that they kind of pulled the rug out from under me, yeah.
Jerry Bremer was a diplomat turned businessman.
He's a man with enormous experience. He's a person who knows how to get things done. He's a can-do type person.
The contrast with Garner was striking. Garner was laid back, Bremer tightly coiled. Garner liked T-shirts, Bremer wore a tie. Whatever the weather, he looked every inch the viceroy. The low priority America had given to pre-war planning had been driven by the Bush administration's fixation with not getting bogged down in nation building, as in Bosnia. Bremer saw things very differently.
There was no question in my mind that we had inherited, by virtue of liberating the Iraqis, the responsibility to help them rebuild, and that this was going to be a long-term project, a project of years, not months.
Jay Garner had wanted to hand over sovereignty swiftly to a group mostly of Iraqi exiles. From Paul Bremer, the Iraqis heard a very different tune. He would run Iraq for the foreseeable future as head of a body called the Coalition Provisional Authority.
There was a meeting 2 days after he arrived. It was a bizarre meeting.
Tell me about it.
The meeting, all these people who had been fighting Saddam for many years, the Kurdish leaders, the Shia leaders, and some Sunni leaders sat there, and this Bremer, who nobody had heard of, shows up and says, I am basically your master here, and you do what I want.
To the Iraqis, the news that this could be a lengthy occupation revived memories of the British, who'd occupied the country after World War I for 14 years. It fell to Mr. Blair's